Okay, today what we're talking about is comparing and ordering integers. So the first thing we need to do is define what an integer is, and in order to do that, we need to know what a whole number is first. So whole numbers are your regular, what I call counting numbers. Okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, on and on and on. Okay, and then integers are whole numbers and their opposites. Okay, so all the whole numbers, so all the 1, 2, 3, 4s, and all of their opposites. So the negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see, let's just write -3, -2, -1, 1, 2, 3, on and on and on and on. So let's talk quickly about a couple of real world situations and then an integer, right? A positive or negative whole number that would represent that situation. So if we're playing football and you lost 5 yards, does that suggest +5 or -5? -5. What if you have a business and you have a profit of $10? So you have a lemonade stand and you profit $10. That's +10. Okay, what about if you are 72 feet below sea level? Do you think that would be represented by +72 or -72? Negative, because it's below, right? So we kind of look at those key words. Loss suggests negative, profit suggests positive, and below suggests negative. So what we're going to do next over here, it says graph each number and its opposite. Okay, so if I asked you to graph the number 4, this is 0. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So what would be opposite of 4? If this is 4 spaces in a positive direction, we could go 1, 2, 3, 4 in a negative direction, and -4 would be its opposite. Okay, well, what if you start with -7? -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and now we're going to graph its opposite, which is positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so what you'll notice is that this is 7 spaces, right? And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they're the same distance from 0, but just on opposite or in opposite directions. Next, we're going to define absolute value. Okay, and the absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on a number line. Okay, so if I said to stand at my desk and walk 5 paces to the right, you walked 5 steps. What if I said walk 5 to the left? And you walked 5 to the left. Okay, did I say left both times? So, okay, if you walk, or let's say you go 5 miles east, and then your friend goes 5 miles west. Did one of you travel negative? No, distance is always positive. So when we're talking about absolute value, it's always going to be a positive number because you can't have a negative distance. So for example, okay, these 2 lines that almost look like a jail, okay, represent absolute value. So this is saying what's the absolute value of 5? And it's 5. 5, the number 5 is 5 units away from 0 on a number line. So how far away from 0 is -5? 5 units. What about 8? 8? What about -8? That's also 8 spaces away. Okay, so why don't you fill out these next 4, pause your video, fill them out, and then come back. Okay, here we go. Here's what you should have got. 17.5, 221, 41.4, and 17. And again, all of these numbers are positive because you can't have negative distance. So on the other side of your notes, we're going to compare. Okay, so this is using like, I always describe it as like the alligator, right? The alligator wants to eat the bigger number. So which one is greater, -8 or +2? If there's a negative and a positive, the positive is always bigger. So like here, which one is greater, 2 or -2? +2. What about 14 and the absolute value of 14? Those are equal to. Okay, and actually I didn't include that up here as an option, but there we go. Okay, we should add equal to. They're the exact same. The absolute value of 14 is 14. Okay, look down here at this middle row. What about the absolute value of -6 and then -6? The absolute value of -6 is greater because this means 6. What about 17.2 and -12? 17.2 is greater. Which one of these two are greater? +8. So why don't you guys pause it again, do these last 3, and then come back and we'll check your answers. Okay, on this one, 12 is greater than 4. The absolute value of -12 is 12. The absolute value of 4 is 4. On this one, you should have put equal to. The absolute value of -6 is just 6. And over here, it's the absolute value of -4 because that's 4. And 4 is greater than 0. And then the last section, we are going to put numbers in order from least to greatest. So I always think of it like negatives are something gross, like, or you could think of it as temperature, like the lowest temperature to the highest temperature, or the most gross things you have to eat to the best, that kind of thing. So let's think about it like temperature. What would be the lowest temperature on this list? -4. And then what would come next? -1, and then 2, and then 3. Okay, over here I have the absolute value of -7, which I know is 7. So now that I kind of took this out of the absolute value, my biggest negative, right, my lowest temperature is -3 degrees. Then -1, then +2, then 5, then the absolute value of -7. Okay, and we always want to write it in the original format. So why don't you go ahead, pause it, and then come back and we'll check your answer. Okay, so my lowest temperature is -10. Then 0. Then the absolute value of -6, because that means 6. Then the absolute value of 7, because that means 7. And then 10.